Welcome back to A Shark's Perspective. So, one of the things that always fascinates me is small businesses and how to help them grow. For so many entrepreneurs, they're laser focused on the customer and the customer experience, and they have to be in order to survive, pay the bills, and eat. For small businesses, especially, the care and concern they show for their customers is a key factor to their growth and how they build brand loyalty. But how do you maintain that level of customer experience as you grow, whether it's inside a brick and mortar space or in your e commerce efforts, and that digital design that goes with how consumers interact with you on the web? That's even more true when you have to factor in hiring, things like air conditioning repairs, how much focus to put on marketing, and so on. How do you make certain to keep that, the thing that helped us as consumers learn to love your brand? How do you keep that to remain that way as you continue to grow? Deanna Wallin is the CEO and founder of Naples Soap Company, who has taken her own story that started as a nurse and as someone with skincare issues into a thriving small business that's grown from one small retail space in Florida to now more than a dozen stores and a strong e commerce presence. And on this episode, we'll discuss scaling customer service from entrepreneur to employees, how small businesses remain focused on brand, the bright, shiny objects in marketing that agencies love to present, e commerce and Amazon, bath bombs, hammerheads with eczema, the redneck Riviera versus the Italian Riviera, and much, much more. So let's tune in to a soappreneur with a shark who likes his bath bombs in the ocean on this episode of A Shark's Perspective. Deanna, thank you so much for joining us today on A Shark's Perspective. If you would, tell us a little bit about your background and your career to date.
My background, I was a nurse. I was an LPN, second generation. My mother's a nurse also. And my daughter is actually going to med school right now. So we have a lot of medical people in our family. I was working in medical sales and very unhappy with the job and how I saw that career going.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to open a store in 2009, and a friend of mine, I said, I want to go into retail so I can have a store. My very first job was in retail. I worked at J.C. Penney's in the men's department, selling a lot of ties. Worked at defunct Chess King, and did very
Wow.
well in menswear.
Yeah.
Yes, so I worked for a very small boutique locally here in Southwest Florida that was a husband and wife owner that owned four women's clothing stores, and I think I learned just about everything I know from those guys. So my first jobs were in retail, and that was kind of where my passion was. I'm a shopper. I love to shop, and so I took some of my past experience. I was a nurse. I worked with wound care and a lot of skincare issues when I was in the hospital, and I went to a friend of mine and said, "Hey, I want to open a store next to my girlfriend. It sounds like fun." Okay,
Yeah.
so so I said, but I need a concept. What am I going to do with this? I've got a high tourist traffic area, and this is a true story. My friend who was in retail, who had a lot of kiosks and things like that in the malls, went into my bathroom and came back out, and he said, "Why do you have so much lotion and soap and all this stuff in your bathroom? You're the worst girl I've ever seen." And I said, "Well, I have eczema and psoriasis, and this one doesn't work, and this one works for a little while, and that one doesn't work, and this one." And he goes, "Well, which one do you like?" I said, "Well, I like the natural soap the best. That's the best one." And he looked at me and he said, "Sell what you know and what you're passionate about." And we did a search immediately for natural soap, for manufacturers and wholesalers, and the light bulb went on, and it just made so much sense. And I took a 300 square foot location and just started talking to people. 300 square foot is about the size of your bathroom. Started talking to people about my personal skin story and sharing it with them, and what worked, what didn't.
Yeah.
Different. Does the dermatologist ask you what you wash your hair with? That type of thing. Just talking to people, and before you knew it, when we got into busy season, I had to tear a wall down and triple the size of my store.
Yeah.
And then I had people driving from north of us in Southwest Florida. They were driving from an hour away to come talk to me. And I knew I had something. And they kept saying, "You should open here. You should open there. We really want a store there." So fast forward, by sharing my story and being the face of the brand, and really connecting and personalizing with people, because there's so many people out there with skin issues, and we don't just cater to, specialty. That's kind of our specialty,
Sure.
is eczema and psoriasis products. But I knew I had to take one product. I had, you know 300 products. I knew I had to take one product and rise it to the top and make it my rock star, and that was the product everybody kept coming back for, so that's what we focused on.
Well, there's nothing more exciting when you're trying to put a kid through school, especially college, by becoming an entrepreneur and rolling the dice. So, congrats. You've got how
I
many
think
stores now? 12, 13?
13
13
stores.
stores.
13
So,
stores in Florida. We will be expanding out of Florida. In 2020, we'll do 2 stores in the Southeast.
well, true story. I have eczema as well, and I vacation regularly in the Redneck Riviera that we know and love. And I was at a
Oh,
store in Panama City and
yep.
really walked in and with my family, and I don't normally walk into soap and bath product stores, but it was an open doored store and fantastic, and you just really got a feel for the experience of it right off the bat. And so that's what made me take an interest in learning more about the store and your story, and that's how we connected. So
It's funny because that I don't care if it's 110 degrees outside; those store doors are
oh
open.
yeah, yeah,
and,
it was
guess
about
what?
110 then, so it was
Those doors are open. I can't even tell you how much I spend on air conditioning repair, and all I can hear all the time is my mother in the background going, "Close the door! You air conditioning the outside, or
sure.
you raising a barn." But that's part of the marketing and the draws, because it smells so good, and it lures people like yourself in.
Well, and I think for a lot of retailers, I mean, it's so scary today to think about retail, but retailers have really got the opportunity right now with being able to change and enhance your experience. And again, the customer experience I got from the moment I walked in to the way that your employees carried it to what I've seen over your e-commerce channel and beyond was really sort of a differentiator. So how do you take your customer experience that you're building out? How do you take that and differentiate your brand from other competitors? Because there are so many people that are starting up soap companies today that don't, and I couldn't tell you the name of 90% of them. I've gone in. I don't know that I ever remember, other than the big, massive retail names that spend a lot on advertising. But if you're not spending a gazillion dollars on advertising, what do you do to enhance that experience to make people, remember you and stand out?
Honestly, it is about that one-to-one customer connection. It really is. It's about developing a rapport with your customer, making sure that I can't stress enough about to my staff about how critical their greeting is. That and it's not an option, and it doesn't need to be robotic, but I think this is part of why so many retailers have died, and guess what, they deserve to die
Yeah.
a painful death, because they were doing a terrible job. They were doing an epic failure in customer service. And retail is scary right now, but I think we're living in a remarkable renaissance of time, to where we have an opportunity to make those changes. And I talk to my staff all the time and explain to them. I said, look, I don't want to live in a world without stores. I like shopping. I'm a shopper. It gives me something to do with my family. It's an outing. I don't want to go to a center and just look at restaurants.
Yeah.
This is not the world that I want to live in. Do I buy online? Absolutely. Do I order online? But I'm tactile. I want to touch. I want to feel. I want to smell. I want to talk to a human.
Yeah.
And it's that human interaction, and that's what we are snipers with our training, and we listen, actually listening to your customers instead of being robotic and greeting them with a robotic greeting. It's a welcome to Naples Soap Company. Have you shopped with us before? So it's developing a rapport. Okay, meaning, are we new friends or are we old friends? Okay, well, great. If you're an old friend, we have lots of new stuff for you. If you're a new friend, guess what, we have so much great stuff for you. And about it, developing trust and rapport, because I think people have just lost trust in retailers because customer service went completely out the window.
How are you doing that then from an e-commerce channel? I mean, that I agree, having experienced it myself and noticed it at a different level than I saw at other stores. At a retail level, I get that, but how are you going about doing that at the e-commerce through the internet, approaching it
I'm
with that
so glad
same?
you asked.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you asked. So we actually have launched a chat feature on our website, and we have probably 3 people that are directly underneath me, that report directly to me, that take that chat feature and answer all of our customer service inquiries themselves. So we don't source it out to India.
Good.
We don't,
Yeah.
have a huge book. We have people that actually work for us, people that are in the field, that are in the field. My executive admin, she does our customer service. Jane is my right hand in all things Deanna. She does everything from booking my travel to all, all the wonderful things that an executive administrative assistant would do. But guess what? She does my customer service, because as the CEO of the company, I want to know what's going on. And I feel like if you are the head of a company, no matter what size it is, if you're not getting customer feedback, if you're not knowing what's going on with your customer service and keeping your finger on the pulse of it, you are so far out of touch with your company. You really have to know.
Yeah. So chatbots in particular, we run into this a lot in digital
Mm,
channels, and I get really frustrated with a lot of the chatbots that are put out there where
they're horrible.
they're that are horrible. How are you looking at this? Because your business is going to continue to grow. I mean, how as an entrepreneur or as a CEO, how do you continue to maintain that level of service as you grow? Because what you see so often with brands is when they're small, when you're one store,
Mm-hmm.
your service could not be better. You're tuned in because you're the only one who's living and breathing and eating based on that level of service. When you grow, you run the risk of losing a little bit. And then when you get too big, then they turn on the horrible functions that so many
Right.
businesses run into. How do you sort of maintain that commitment?
You have to invest in it. You have got to invest in it. I mean, I don't sell cheap products. My soap bars, just an individual bar,
Don't I
goes
know
for
it?
$8.50.
Yeah,
So I'm selling a luxury item, and
sure.
obviously, I mean, we have a lot more than soap. We have 450 of our own branded products, and everything from scrubs and butters. So when my
Sure.
customers doing customer service, I want you to understand it isn't just one product, or here's how you sell a bar of soap. I have a full line of skincare that covers everything from your nose to your toes, and everything in between. So my people have to be skilled, but as an owner, I make the commitment to invest in educated and trained humans.
Hmm.
And that's the problem, is that a lot of companies have treated customer service as an inconvenience and a cost, a line item cost, not a priority.
Agreed.
And that's the problem. What, I don't care if it's the cable company, or if it's, your phone carrier, or if it's, ordering something, clothing online. The customer has been treated as if they're an inconvenience, because it costs money to answer questions. It
Mm.
costs money to close a deal, to make it happen. And I plan to continue to invest, and that's what separates us as a luxury brand, and that's how we can continue to charge what we do, charge a premium for our products.
Couldn't agree more. I've got two questions that I want to ask, and I'm battling with both because they both fit perfectly into this segue. You mentioned this a couple of times about your number of products. When you started your business, how did you know that you were going from a product to a full line of products to grow into a business? We hear this all the time on these entrepreneurs where a business is more than just a product, but a lot of people get kind of lost and stuck in that product phase. How did you know you were going to go from a product to even a product line to develop out a full scale business?
Good question. Really was an evolution, a very slow evolution over the past 10 years. I also looked at myself. I am my customer, and I
Yeah,
looked at the customer feedback.
thank you.
Every night we send reports in, the staff sends in reports, and on their manager on duty, their MOD reports at the end of day, there is a section for guest comments, and we would receive 13 of those a night, and there's probably not maybe six people on the executive side that read those. Myself, my CFO, we look at the numbers, we look at everything coming through there, and we read those guest comments. And even in those guest comments, if it's someone that's requesting, if we're seeing repeated requests, we know that we have to answer that call.
Hmm.
Shower bombs, for example. I'm not a huge fan of shower bombs. I like things to be on my skin and make a difference. But people have been asking us for shower bombs for the last 2 years. We carried them years ago, and they didn't do so well. And I hate
Hmm.
to say the bomb bombed, but the shower bomb bombed
Hmm.
for us. And now all of a sudden there's been greater education, and we're coming back at it again, and we've launched a shower bomb, and I can't keep them in the store. But several years ago, even though we had some requests, there were a few people that were sort of ahead of the trend, and then once we got enough feedback, we knew that we could launch a full blown line. So we take a lot of customer feedback. And I honestly try not to chase down what's in the industry. I try to be very unique. I know, for example, like CBD. CBD is all the rage. CBD is everywhere. We've waited 2 years to get into our own CBD and hemp game just because it's been the wild, wild west. And if we're going to do it, we want credibility. We want to know that we have the right efficacy. So it really is about research. It's about listening to customer feedback. And that's how we determine if we have enough demand to enlarge the product line.
Absolutely. So, how then do you take that, especially in a retail brick and mortar business, and grow that out? How do you instill that level of service that you believe in, that you're reading all the feedback back into your employees? Because managing and hiring anybody in today's world is hard. Managing and hiring anybody in a retail capacity is, I mean, that's the camel through the eye of a needle right now for a lot of people.
Try doing it in Florida where
Oh,
it's
yeah.
seasonal and people come here and they say, I always wanted to move to Florida. Okay, great. You're here. Now what?
Yeah.
Okay. We are in a very difficult because we situation as far as hiring goes because we go in and out of season 6 months out of the year. Half of our footprint is extremely busy, and then the other 6 months, as you called it, the Redneck Riviera, which we love, Destin and Panama City, they're in season, so we have opposite seasons. It's very challenging. it, I think it's really important to make sure that you are hiring people with similar values, and that when you are in the hiring process, that the people that are doing the hiring convey the passion for the company and the passion for the product, and you look for people that get excited about your brand, about what you're doing, and you really look for passion. I can teach you product knowledge all day long
Hmm.
and you'll learn it, but I can't teach you how to believe in something. I can't teach you how to be passionate about something, and we really look for passionate personalities, and we have an amazing culture. And some things that we've done that is that we are a lifestyle health and wellness company, and to me it was very paramount to put a wellness program in place for the employees. And so we have gym memberships. Our wellness director, Deborah Oringer, she was the wellness director at Kennedy Space Center for 10 years. 10 years. And so we are so blessed to be able to work with her. I met her through a mutual friend here in Naples. And these are the kinds of things that we put out there so that we're attracting like-minded people. If you attract them to start with in your hiring process, even though it might be hard and the bodies are scarce, you know what? If you don't, you're going to turn them over anyways.
Agreed. Most CEOs, when you talk to them, their biggest problems are not around product or
It's
it's
people.
people. It's
It's people.
and it will be 100 years from now, unless we're all working for the robots and Skynet. So
It is such a challenge. I love what I do. And retail is a high turnover industry to start with. And then you take the job market, which is, down to a squeak now. But it really is about companies having to create a positive workplace, because that's huge. People want to go to work. They want to be happy. They want to feel like they're contributing something, especially our millennial workforce. They don't really want to, despite the rap that they get, they want to contribute. They don't want to go in and punch a clock. I don't believe that. I have two millennial children, and if they are not moving their lives forward in some capacity, or also doing something to move other people forward, they're not happy. And those are the types of people that we attract to our company. So it's about putting your culture out there and making sure that you are attracting people that are a good cultural fit.
agreed. Well, and one thing just to add back to the Redneck Riviera discussion, I will just tell you that the beaches of Northwest Florida are the widest beaches literally in the world. And
It's
so
gorgeous.
it
Yeah.
is it has a loving name from, Biloxi to Panama City, but it is
Yeah, that is a
pretty
term of endearment.
it is a term of endearment, and I mean, you will see people, eat a hamburger in the hotel swimming pool, but that's another story. But when you,
Destin also has the largest fishing fleet in the state of Florida. They have the biggest boardwalk and the largest fishing fleet in the state of Florida. It's
uh,
pretty impressive
yeah,
that
three
you see
three quarters
yachts.
of the world's red and snapper comes from
It's a
Destin's Bay.
Yeah, it's a very diverse tourist demographic that's there for sure.
Absolutely.
You see a little bit of everything there.
So when you start growing out your e-commerce side of the business, I know that's important to you. Think I've ordered some stuff before, but
Yeah.
how do you, really approach your growth now? I think a lot of businesses struggle with, they built a strong solid footprint in retail, but how do you translate that to be successful in the e-commerce side?
Well, for one thing, you have to make sure that your CRM is on point like a sniper. So what you are getting when you have a customer that is a live body in your store, your staff has to make sure that they are gathering every bit of data that they can so that you can continue to stay in touch with that customer. If you don't, it's just lost revenue. You might as well just take money out and throw it outside your store door. So that information is super valuable, and that's how we continue to build our ecom business, is by making sure that we are um, in a respectful manner, because everybody
Absolutely.
wants your email address, everyone wants it, but in a respectful manner, so that we're not over spamming, we're not pushing promotions constantly, that we're giving relevant content in addition to promotions, so that we continue to make ourselves the authority in our industry. Even after you have left, the educational process doesn't stop. So this is how we're holding people and as customers, and retaining them as customers once they've exited our store. And you got to remember, we have a local base, but most of our stores are in very, very high tourist traffic
Hmm.
areas. Very high tourist, everything from uh, north of Orlando to Cocoa Beach to St. Pete, Sarasota, Naples. We're all typically on the water, so we have to work even harder to retain and that customer.
That's a great point of view, because it's very rare that small businesses, especially, understand the value of building a community in an e-commerce world, and it's I applaud you for that. So, how do you look at the 800-pound gorilla who wants to overtake all of us and prevent anybody from going to stores? I'm jokingly talking about Amazon, but what's your Amazon strategies, or how do you sort of tackle that behemoth, or at least not tackle it, but play a good part with Amazon?
I think that's the whole key there is, you have to play with Amazon.
Yeah.
You're not going to get around it. We have a consultant now that is helping us, that's got our products listed on Amazon for those Prime shoppers. And the irony of it all is that the majority of since we have been on Amazon for the past, let's say, 5 months, the majority of our shipping has been local and centric to our store
Hmm.
location. But we thought, well, we'll get people that'll be, in Ohio, that'll be buying on Amazon. Nope, it's our local people. They want it delivered. They don't want to. We have a very small shipping fee, like $4,
Hmm.
or if it's over 100 for free shipping. Shipping is expensive, For us to ship just a basic package. Say you take one bar of soap and stick it in a package. Believe it or not, it can cost you $12. So it's ridiculous what the shipping charges are. So we play nice with Amazon. The margins get cut something horribly, because the Amazon listings require a lot of maintenance. You really, unless you're some kind of guru at this, you're going to struggle if you're trying to do it on your own. I prefer to outsource those types of things. So we have a really great consultant, and he handles all this stuff. There's a lot of tricky, weird stuff, like how you handle your reviews and little weird things that Amazon will ping you and punish you for. Um, so we hire the pros to do that for us, and our margins just went.
Sure.
But guess what? We're there. We're in the game. We're there. We're playing. Do we like it? Not really. But we got to play. So that I wish I had a more elegant answer for you. I just don't. But you have to play with Amazon.
Absolutely. Yeah. So how do you look at the channels then? One of the things I get frustrated a lot with agencies, with marketers, a lot of people do, is that we tend to, as a group, you find people that run directly towards the bright shiny object and tell you, you got a soap company, you need to be on Snapchat or Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is.
Right.
They want you to rush that way. But how do you look at the channels to help grow your business? I mean, you can spend all your money really quickly on TV without doing it correctly. You can spend all your money on social really quickly, or paid search, which is a mountain of it.
Sure.
How do you look at all the channels to help grow a business?
When I first started, I handled all of our marketing. I had some real estate background and I was kind of used to putting my face on things. If you're in real estate, you are the brand. That's it. You're the brand, you market yourself. So that wasn't really a new concept to me. And I was sharing my story. So that was kind of what I knew. I was combining a lot of previous talents from other lives. But it, it, it can be a challenge. And it can be costly, and the mistakes can be very costly. And something that we've learned is that may not even necessarily be the actual dollars that you invested in whatever. It could just be that you took those dollars and they could have been better spent elsewhere, and you've lost traction
Absolutely.
somewhere because you were so focused on what you thought the market, the marketing du jour was. So this is the hot marketing topic du jour. I don't chase a lot of marketing trends. I wait, I watch, and I see what's going on. I really try to avoid the shiny objects. It's as painful as it is. You think, oh, I got to get in on this. I got to get in on this. But you know what? A lot of that ground floor stuff, you're basically a guinea pig, and you're paving the way for other companies or marketing companies to be successful. And you know, we got big enough to where once our budget exceeded six figures for marketing, we really thought it was best to bring in an outside agency. And I still oversee all of the marketing, but we get opinions on, hey, what are the trends in our area, local and centric to our brick and mortar locations, and then what's the recommendation
Hmm.
for our ecom? And we devise a budget, because a lot of people will just throw enough against the wall to see what sticks, and you can't do it. You really have to have a budget. You've got to have those budgets set out. And this is a mistake that I see a lot of smaller companies do, is that they don't have a marketing budget. And as soon as sales are down or whatever, marketing is the first thing that gets cut. Oh my God, my sales are down. Let me slash my marketing budget.
Exactly.
I don't. When my sales are down, guess what? I push forward on marketing. That's where my money starts going. Okay, sales are down. Guess what? Labor Day, let's do a push. Here we go. And let's get it on the avenues that we know are effective. So I keep a very close eye on it, but I also rely on solid, good advice from marketing people that I trust as well. And I stick to that budget. The budget is really important. And there are some variances, but your budget, if you set that budget, it will help guide you and keep you from chasing the shiny objects. Because we entrepreneurs, we're like, oh look, squirrel,
Exactly. Absolutely.
squirrel. This is gonna push my sales. It's gonna promote everything. This is great. My friend did it, and they did this and this. Well, it doesn't work that way. Not for all businesses.
So you as a CEO and entrepreneur, you have to spend a lot of time on the, I'm going to air quote, marketing or brand side of your business
Mm-hmm.
to help grow it. But as you start growing to where you've got other things that are really starting to pull you as you start to grow, whether it be payroll, HR, operations, whatever that is, how much time do you continue to have to spend on the marketing side of growing your business at this point, 10 years into a business that's growing well? How much of that do you still spend if you just sort of had to guess?
Well, I think marketing is something I think about every single day. it's how I grow the brand. It's how I evolve the brand. It's looking towards the future and going, okay, this is where we are now, but what do I'm always saying, what do we want to be when we grow up?
Hmm.
Even though we're 10 years old, I think you can never stop asking yourself, how do we improve? How do we do it better? How do we look better? How do we improve our customer relations, and what does that look like, and how do those programs succeed? And we're in the process of branding a charitable giving program, and for us that's huge. We do a ton of charitable giving locally, and for larger organizations like American Heart Association. Right now we're doing a drive for hurricane supplies, and so we've elected to brand our charitable giving program. And to me, that falls under marketing. I hate to, sound selfish, but it does. It falls under my marketing umbrella,
Hmm.
because it's important for people to know who we are and what we stand for, and that the values and culture of this company are X, Y, and Z. We're always refining our brand platform so that our customers know exactly what our values are. And I would say probably, I don't know, 30% to 40%, depending on what we have going on. This week we have Christmas and holiday meetings. So this week will be like 2000% of my time.
Yeah.
So uh, it really depends, but I enjoy marketing. And I think a lot of people underestimate the value of it, and they underestimate the value of their brand and brand development and their brand integrity. And that's not a mistake that we make.
So what's next for you in Naples Soap? Where do you want to see it go?
We have three divisions to our business. We have a brick and mortar business, which we are expanding and carefully selecting locations based on the retail market and watching it where it's headed. We have e-com, which we talked about how we grow it. But we also have a wholesale division. And something really exciting is that we got picked up by Dillard's this year.
Yeah.
And Dillard's is now distributing our bath bombs and some other SKUs in our line in 261 stores.
Wow.
And for us, that was, talk about wrestling an 850-pound gorilla. Uh, Typically, chains like that will launch in maybe 5 to 10 stores or 15 stores to do a trial. Dillard's came to us and said, hey, guess what? We love you guys. We want to go. We want you in all 261 stores. And so our team mobilized. We had never done a rollout that large. And I think we did it in less than 12 weeks. And it was very impressive, which it required a lot of manufacturing connections. So we are in the process of growing our wholesale division and bringing more people on to, so that we have diverse pockets of revenue for the whole entire company. So we put e-com, we put brick and mortar, and we put wholesale underneath it. So we're working on these different channels of revenue.
Well, Deanna, I am one of those weirdos who jumps into the water to try to swim with the sharks that freak everybody
Yes,
out in the Gulf. There's plenty of bulls and hammerheads and a
you're that
few
guy.
tigers, and I'm that guy. So I'm the one that looks dyslexic when everybody else is yelling shark. But
Yeah,
you
I'm
don't.
the one that looks like Jesus of Nazareth
Yeah,
walking on
walking on the
water, and
water.
the minnows touch my something underneath the water. I can't see it yet.
Well, I know you won't get this question on many other shows, but you're on a shark's perspective, and you live in
Okay,
Florida,
hit
so I
me.
have to ask, what is your favorite kind of shark and why?
Oh, gosh, I'm gonna have to go with Hammerhead.
Not
I
a
mean,
not a bad one.
I listen, the form, the design. I'm also a car girl. I love cars. So I just think that the Hammerhead has this amazingly intricate design, and their movement and motion. So I'm gonna go with Hammerhead. That's my final answer.
Well, fun fact: hammerheads actually suffer from eczema.
Get out.
I just made that up. Yeah, completely made that up. So, well, Deanna, it is that special. I had you going there for a second. Deanna, it's that special time in the show. Are you ready for the 5 most interesting, important questions you're going to be asked today?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Number one: Naples, Florida, or Naples, Italy?
Naples, Florida.
Have you been to Naples, Italy?
I have not. I've been to Italy, but not Naples particularly.
Well, you should go there and tell them you're the CEO of Naples in the U.S. and see what Number
Uh,
two,
put it on my bucket list.
number two, grouper or mahi mahi?
Oh gosh, it's a tough one. Grouper, if it's real grouper, not the fake grouper that
Oh,
they
absolutely. Yeah.
fake you out with. Yeah, I'm gonna go with black grouper though.
Good. Number 3, bath bombs or sea salt scrub?
I'm gonna go with bath bombs. Yeah, I like the Epsom salt. I'm a huge fan. I worked for an orthopedic surgeon, and any injury or anything we had, we soaked it in Epsom salt, and that's what our base is. So, and my grandmother used it, so I'm gonna go with bath bombs.
What is a shower bomb? I don't know if I even know what that is.
It's really aromatherapy. It looks like a bath bomb in a disc form, and it sits down in the base of the shower, and it has a lot of eucalyptus or lavender in it. So you're taking a shower. It's basically kind of washing down the drain there, but it really is aromatherapy. But good, it's good for your head and your
Nice.
sinuses. Yeah.
Number 4,
Before.
the beaches of West Florida or the beaches of East Florida?
This is a tough one. Okay, so if we're talking about actual sand,
Yes.
the sand,
Well, that's
the
a good point.
sand of West Florida, but the
Water
water
of East Florida. Agreed.
Yeah. How's that for a hybrid?
That's not bad. Number 5 in the
But
most. Go
if
ahead.
you want both, the beauty of both, Panhandle, Redneck Riviera,
Absolutely.
emerald water, and just sugar sand beaches.
Agreed.
So there you go.
Number
Okay.
5 and the most important question that you're going to be asked today is biscuits or
So
cornbread?
Oh, gosh, you had to ask me that one. I'm gonna have to go with cornbread because it's just better when you put like beans and collards and stuff over it.
I would agree,
But my dad was a biscuits and gravy guy, so
okay.
I can't make that decision. Why? That is.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody I've ever actually heard that before, that their parents were a biscuit and gravy guy. So that's a good that's a good. So Deanna, where can people find out more about you? Visit a retail location, either in person or on the web, and more.
Correct. Naplessoap.com is our website, and you can chat with any of my lovely people and you can just tell them, hey, I heard Deanna on the podcast. Tell her I said, hey, and that we'll get a good kick out of that. Naplesoap.com. All of our locations in Florida are on there as well. If you're in our neighborhood on vacay or in the vicinity, stop by and see us and tell us you heard us on Kenneth the Sharks podcast. You can also order product there or find us on Amazon.
Absolutely. So thank you very much, Deanna, for being with us today on A Shark's Perspective.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
So there was my conversation with Deanna Wallin, the CEO and founder of Naples Soap Company, who has also taken her story that started as a nurse and as someone with skincare issues into a thriving small business that's grown from one small retail space in Florida to now more than a dozen stores and a strong e-commerce presence. Let's take a look at 3 key takeaways from a conversation with her. First, many retailers die because of their customer service, whether it's in the store or on the web. It's about that one-to-one connection that we all want to feel as consumers. I personally hate shopping, but like Deanna, I like stores. I want them, especially small businesses, to thrive. We've got such an opportunity today to engage better with consumers, especially listening to them. But that starts at the top. And I love Deanna's comment, and I quote, if you're the head of a company, no matter what size it is, if you're not getting customer feedback, if you're not knowing what's going on with your customer service and keeping your finger on the pulse of it, you are so far out of touch with your company. You really have to know. With all forms of CX, my recommendation beyond navigation, with chatbots, for example, is like hers to use people, especially since most chatbot experiences are horrible. Not everyone can do it that way, but she went on to say, as an owner, I make the commitment to invest in educated and trained humans. And that's the problem, is that a lot of companies have treated customer service as an inconvenience and a cost, a line item cost, and not a priority. And that's the problem. Good point. She's voicing a problem we as consumers hate and as business leaders are guilty of way too often. Their experience, well, that's what separates them as a luxury brand and how they can charge a premium. And it's worth it to pay more to get that level of service to a lot of people. Just think of all the major brands who do that so well, and we often pay more, like with Amazon and Apple, simply because of service. A lot of that comes from the people you hire, but most importantly, that commitment comes from the top. Second, love the comment on CRM. So many businesses collect information and then completely fumble it with how they handle that customer data and feedback. I see it all the time, and we hear it from a lot of experts who quite often speak about that first party data, how they handle building and maintaining email lists, and that dialogue, for example. Be on it like a sniper, as she said, and keep a laser focus. It's rare that small businesses understand the value of building that kind of community in a now e-commerce type world. Third, marketers, especially at small agencies working with SMBs, have a massive tendency to make businesses look at the bright, shiny objects. But the mistakes can be very costly, even deadly to a lot of businesses. As she said, it may not even be the dollars. It could be that you lose traction and focus, which is so true. It's painful not to jump to the air quote hottest thing, but when you're trying to grow a business or put food on your table or make a payroll, then you've simply got to be disciplined, especially with your marketing budget. However, as she reminded me, that reaction that many SMBs have to cut marketing when sales are down is almost always the wrong approach, and I completely agree. Got a question? Send me an email to kenneth@asharksperspective.com. Thank you for the privilege of your time. So go get your luxury brand soap, a bath bomb, some sea salt scrub, relax in the tub, and think about how we can do better. And if there are sharks in the tub, well, let's hope it's a really big tub. So join us on the next episode of A Shark's Perspective.